Now, how to balance energy security and climate protection has been top of mind for many people and leaders in 2021, with energy security seeming to have been the more pressing issue. Russia's war in Ukraine has triggered an energy crisis which many countries, including Germany, are trying to mitigate with a comeback of coal. And countries like South Africa are profiting from a global rise in demand.
They're on their way to a 12-hour shift in the mines. Here in Mpumalanga, in the northeast of South Africa, coal is a big part of life. Nearly 100,000 people work in it, and it accounts for 80% of electricity production. But its future is uncertain as South Africa tries to tackle climate change. It's sad because there are a lot of mines which employ many people. If they closed, a lot of people would struggle. The mines are very important in our lives, and also coal, because we even make fire with it. It is very useful. Last year, to help South Africa switch its power production from coal to renewables, Europe promised it billions. But that has changed since the West sanctioned Russian coal amid the war in Ukraine. Coal prices have soared, and South African coal exports to Europe have increased nearly 8-fold since the war began. It's a dilemma.
I think we can run a dual system, coal and green energy, which will increase capacity. Because what we've seen is that we lack in capacity with the amount of load shedding we are having. Also, with the reserves that are still in the country, there's still a lot of reserves that need to be obviously mined out and then burnt for electricity.
South Africa and fossil fuel companies are profiting from record coal prices and soaring demand. So for now, moving away from polluting energy sources is once again on the back burner.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in Simon Miller. He's an energy transition expert. Welcome to the program, Simon. What does it tell us about the green energy ambitions of industrial and emerging countries when being confronted with this emergency scenario that we're seeing right now? Everybody falls back in their heavily carbon-emitting ways.
Well, I think it's very important to distinguish the short-term immediate response and the structural consequences. When we look at the short-term response, it shows us that we're still deeply dependent on fossil fuels. But if we consider what does this mean structurally, I would say it's very, very robust that we will see a dramatic acceleration of renewable energies. Why? They have the cost argument on their side, they have the energy security argument on their side, and the sustainability argument anyway. However, if we look at the immediate response to the crisis, of course, we need to rely on existing facilities, existing assets, and they are there and can burn fossil fuels. So around the world, this consumption has gone up. However, the price is very high, the reliability is very low, and this provides a strong structural incentive to direct investments into renewables and energy efficiency.
Let's talk briefly about the here and now. What are the consequences, the immediate consequences of this resurgence of coal?
Well, first of all, what happened through Russia's aggression against Ukraine is that the largest fossil fuel exporter has shut down partially or been shut down. So this explains why there's a scramble to substitute those exports. So essentially, we're trying to mobilize other supplies. But on the global level, if we look at the coal consumption, there's multiple reasons driving this effect. One reason also is a severe drought in Asia, which has led to a reduced availability of hydropower. So we see the consequences of the climate crisis as one element. What needs to happen now is very clear that the investments for new generation facilities go into renewable energies. For example, it's also a huge opportunity for a country like South Africa that's been struggling structurally to meet its electricity demand.
And when it comes to these investments, the International Energy Agency says that global funding in clean energy sources could rise by 50% in the coming years if investments go ahead as planned. Is there enough incentive for these plans to materialize? Briefly, if you could.
Yes. Why? Because fossil fuels currently are very expensive. The supply is fairly unreliable. A vast number of countries experiencing this right now. Coal deliveries aren't coming. And so this provides a strong incentive for switching over. And that's why the International Energy has come to this conclusion.
Simon Müller, energy transition expert, thank you so much.
Thanks.